You have not arrived here by chance. The timing is precise, divinely orchestrated. There has been a quiet, stirring, gentle yet weighty, subtle but deeply felt. And in the center of it all, something deeply personal has been stirred, not whispered in passing, but spoken with purpose, with care, with love. This message is not for the crowd, not for the curious. It is for the chosen, those who sense the deeper pull of the Spirit, those whose hearts still ache with questions no one else can answer. If these words find you, then perhaps you already know. Something sacred is unfolding around the one you hold most dear, the one your soul has never forgotten, the one whose absence still echoes. Even in silence, even across distance, their presence lingers. You felt it, in dreams, in memories, in sudden moments of clarity you can't explain. And now, what was once hidden is being brought to light, not for drama, not for certainty, but for healing. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "To everything there is a season, and a time to every purpose under the heaven." And for you, now is the time of uncovering. The time to see, not with the eyes, but with the heart. Heaven does not reveal without intention. If this is being made known to you, it is not to stir longing, but to awaken hope. Not to rekindle fantasy, but to restore truth. So, take a breath, be still, and ask, what is being stirred within me right now? If your heart bears witness to this moment, if something inside you is rising to meet this quiet call, respond in faith. Type Amen in the comments, not for validation, but as a declaration. I am listening. I am willing. I am ready. Let this be your beginning. Something has stirred in the heavenly realms, quiet but undeniable. A movement like wind through tall grass, brushing against eternity. A whisper passed through the corridors of light, and for a brief moment, all creation held its breath. It wasn't noise that echoed, but names spoken gently, in alignment with a higher will. Yours, and the one your soul cannot forget. This message comes to reveal a truth long buried, not out of malice, but out of fear. The one your heart aches for has been carrying a silence so heavy, it nearly crushed them. They did not hide from you because they stopped caring. They hid because they could not face what they felt. The weight of it, the confusion, the timing, the inner turmoil was more than they knew how to handle. But you knew, didn't you? In the quiet hours, in the unrest that made sleep feel foreign, in those sudden waves of emotion that had no name, yet arrived without warning. You knew something wasn't right, even when words failed. And you were not wrong. What you sensed was real. What you felt wasn't fantasy. Heaven is confirming now what your spirit has whispered all along. This isn't just about love. It's about interference. A shadow was cast, not just from within, but from without, through words spoken by someone close, someone once trusted, someone who planted doubt. That doubt grew roots, wrapping around your connection until everything felt tangled and unclear. But nothing hidden stays hidden forever. Heaven has revealed what needed to be seen, not to condemn, but to cleanse. Psalm 34:18 says, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit." That nearness is here now. The ache you've carried is not yours alone. The one you love has been in a quiet war, a battle between the truth in their heart and the fear in their mind. Some wounds trace back through generations, carried unknowingly through family lines. Others are more immediate: betrayals, regrets, wrong turns, and well-meaning but damaging advice. They have battled alone, so have you. And yet, you are both still standing. This is no ordinary reunion. This is not a call to chase, to fix, or to prove anything. This is a moment of divine alignment. A window has opened, a sliver of time when hearts may awaken, and what once seemed lost may be rethreaded into purpose. The silence between you was not emptiness, it was preparation. In that space, heaven was rearranging things too large for either of you to carry alone. Genesis 50-20 speaks of this kind of turnaround. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done. And what is being done now is not small. A page is turning, not just in your relationship, but in the story of who you are. You thought this was about one person. But heaven is showing you a larger picture of every heartbreak, every question, every moment you felt unseen or unworthy. None of it was wasted. It was shaping you for something sacred. This isn't about going back. It's about moving forward with clarity. The love you felt, the connection that never broke it, wasn't in your head. It was written before time began. Not a fantasy, but a thread of destiny. One that still exists, not because you've clung to it, but because heaven has preserved it. The one your soul remembers is awakening, slowly, tenderly, and as they rise, they are remembering you. But even now, they wonder if they've waited too long. They wonder if your heart has gone silent. They wonder if they were ever truly seen. You don't owe them anything, but heaven invites you to see the story fully before you close the book. Because some stories were never meant to end in silence. Some were written to echo. And if this message has reached you now, it is because something sacred is stirring again, not behind your back, not without your say, but right here in your presence. No lightning, no shouting, just a quiet unveiling of truth. The question is no longer, will they return? The question is, will your heart be open when they do? Not to fantasy, but to truth. Not to the past, but to healing. For what was hidden is coming into the light, and the light, once it shines, does not fade. Truth does not arrive like lightning, shaking the sky and forcing recognition. It comes like dawn, slow and sure, touching everything in time. Many seek truth as if it were a prize to be claimed quickly, but heaven rarely works that way. Not because truth is hidden, but because the heart must be prepared to carry what truth reveals. Without that preparation, even clarity can feel like chaos. So often, people ask, why haven't I received the answer yet? Or, why is this situation still unresolved? But the real question might be, am I ready to live the truth I claim to want? Answers are not just information, they are responsibility. And there are seasons when heaven, in love, delays revelation not to punish, but to protect. Not because you are being ignored, but because you are still becoming the version of yourself that can hold the answer without crumbling under its weight. Spiritual growth rarely announces itself. It moves in quiet ways through unmet expectations, long silences, broken plans, and prayers that feel like they echo into empty space. But each of those moments forms something. You do not become wise by reading the right words. You become wise by living through the waiting. Consider the story of Joseph, not the beginning where he dreamed, but the years in between. Betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, forgotten in prison. Years passed without resolution, and yet Genesis 39 repeatedly says, "But the Lord was with Joseph." God's presence did not mean immediate answers, it meant silent shaping. Joseph's character was being formed in the very places that looked like abandonment. In the same way, your delays were not denial, they were design. What is arriving in your life now is not just truth, it is alignment. You are standing in a moment where the truth being revealed matches the readiness you have grown into. You no longer seek answers to satisfy fear. You seek understanding to walk forward with peace. That shift is everything. There is a kind of peace that doesn't require the full map. A kind that arises not from knowing how the story ends, but from finally trusting the one who holds it. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your paths straight. That kind of trust is not passive, it is courageous. It says, even if I don't see the next step, I believe I am still being guided. This is the difference between information and revelation. Information fills the mind. Revelation changes the posture of the soul. And when it comes at the right time, it does not overwhelm, it steadies. This is why the connection you have been wrestling with was never only about romance or timing. It was about growth, real growth. The kind that teaches you to love without losing your voice, to hope without grasping, to hold space for someone else's journey without abandoning your own. There is something deeply humbling about spiritual preparation. It often requires solitude, letting go of who you thought you were, letting others misunderstand you, waiting without applause, carrying questions without clear answers. But when the moment of revelation arrives, those quiet years start to make sense. What once looked like silence becomes sacred groundwork. In John 16:12, Jesus tells his disciples, I have much more to say to you, more than you can now bear. Even they, those closest to him, were not ready for the full truth yet. Readiness is not about spiritual ranking. It is about timing and capacity. Even love, when poured out too fast, can flood the roots before they've grown deep enough to hold it. Now, your roots are deeper. This isn't about going back to who you were or forcing an outcome with someone else. It's about seeing what is real about yourself, about them, and about the season you're in. The person who awakened something deep in you was never meant to complete you. They came into your story to reveal what needed healing, what needed naming, and what needed strengthening. That kind of connection isn't comfortable. It stirs everything. It brings longings to the surface that you thought you had buried. It presses on wounds you didn't realize were still open. But in doing so, it invites transformation, not fantasy. And so, what you are being shown now is not a destination, it is a perspective. You are being given the grace to look back at every unanswered prayer, every delay, every silence, and not see failure, but formation. What if every unanswered question was shaping your ability to stand here today without bitterness? What if every no was making room for this now? Ecclesiastes 8:6 reminds us, for there is a proper time and procedure for every matter, though a person may be weighed down by misery. Even in difficulty, there is order, there is timing, there is mercy. Now, truth is no longer something to chase. It stands quietly, calmly before you. It does not shout for attention. It simply waits for your eyes to meet it with peace. And that peace is not born of final answers, but of knowing you no longer need them to move forward with grace. You do not need to control the outcome. You do not need to make anyone stay or prove your worth. You are not standing here to be rescued or to rescue anyone else. You are standing here because you are ready to see clearly, without fear, and live freely, without pretending. The story is not over, but the confusion is fading. That in itself is a gift. Let it be enough for now. Let it bring you rest. So much has already been stirred within you. Questions that once echoed in the silence are now being answered, not with noise, but with clarity. This moment was not rushed. It has been gently unfolding across seasons, through pain and perseverance. And now, the veil is thinner. The atmosphere around your spirit is shifting because something sacred is awakening on the other side of the connection you once thought lost. You may not have seen it with your eyes, but in the unseen realm, your name and the name of the one your soul has long remembered have been circling one another in a divine rhythm. Though your paths may have parted, your spirits were never fully severed. What once felt like abandonment was, in truth, divine redirection. And now, Something has begun, something strong enough to disturb the silence and pierce through even the densest emotional walls. Earlier today, yes, in the quiet spaces of an ordinary moment, heaven moved. Whether they were alone in their car, walking beneath a clouded sky, or sitting in stillness without knowing why, a shift occurred in their spirit. A flash, brief but undeniable, brought your image before them. Not as nostalgia, not as fantasy, but as a moment of divine recognition, the type that echoes louder than words and lingers longer than memory. They may not have said a word about it. They may have dismissed it as imagination, but heaven did not dismiss it. That moment was recorded, and when it happened, a message was dispatched to you, not for pressure, not for urgency's sake, but because this time the stirring is no longer one-sided. The activation has begun. What was once quiet on their side is beginning to roar. The veil is thinning not just for you, but for them. This is not random. In the heavens, there are no coincidences. Every turning point is woven with purpose. The delay you experienced was not neglect, it was mercy. If this connection had come into full bloom before the healing began, it might have collapsed under the weight of pain that had not yet been named. But now something is different. Roots have taken hold in the soil of your soul. Wounds have started to close, and the truth, once too heavy, now begins to rise like dawn. It would be easy to ask, why now? But the better question might be, why not now? Why not the moment when your spirit has grown wiser, when your faith has been tested and proven real, when your heart has begun to forgive even what it never fully understood? Something is happening in their life that you cannot yet see. They are watching you not in ways that invade, but in ways they cannot explain. Through signs, through music, through glimpses, through the way the world seems to whisper your name in places they thought were quiet. They are reaching not with words, but with spiritual longing. Not because they are certain, but because they are aching for confirmation that what they feel is true. But here is where the pain lies. They are afraid, not of you, not of the connection, but of being wrong, of being hurt again, of choosing love and finding it disappear. And because of that fear, even your silence could feel like rejection to them, not because they are prideful, but because they are fragile. Their heart, once closed to protect itself, is now slowly creaking open, and in that vulnerability, they are searching for signs of safety. There is something else, something hidden, but not forever. Someone once trusted by them whispered lies into their ears, lies about you, lies about your motives, lies about your worth. This person saw your light and mistook it as a threat, and in their insecurity, they planted seeds of confusion, fear, and doubt. For a time, those seeds grew. Your person withdrew, not because of who you are, but because of what they were made to believe. But now heaven has exposed that voice, and you, chosen one, must stop carrying the weight of false blame. You were never the reason they left. You were never too much, never too late, never hard to love. You were simply too bright for a world that still clung to shadows, and now the shadows are lifting. The truth is, stepping forward not to vindicate you before others, but to free you from the lies you've carried too long. This connection has never only been about two people. It has always held the weight of something greater: generational healing, spiritual assignments, a calling to love in a way that undoes patterns passed down through decades. That is why it has felt both overwhelming and sacred, because it is. In moments like this, heaven does not shout, it prepares, it whispers, it aligns, and when readiness meets revelation, a door opens. You may not have all the details, you may not even know what to say, but you are being asked to believe again, not blindly, not recklessly, but faithfully. Because your belief, your willingness to remain soft, even after all you've seen, is what allows this moment to fulfill its purpose. Your person is hiding, not out of malice, but out of fear. They are caught between a deep pull toward you that they cannot name and the voices of logic that tell them to stay away. They feel unworthy. They feel late. And that inner war has left them paralyzed. But now, heaven is intervening. A breakthrough is happening. A spiritual sword is being raised, not to punish, but to cut through the lies, the fear, and the years of silence. But even now, heaven will not force. You are not being pushed. You are being invited. Gently, reverently, as someone who carries something sacred. The time is now. Not because someone said so, but because heaven has moved. If you have noticed the dreams, the signs, the emotions that come and go like waves, you are not imagining them. You are standing in a divine moment of convergence where soul meets spirit and the unseen finally makes itself known. There is a reason this connection has never truly left you. It's not a matter of memory or longing. It's a matter of spiritual tethering. Even when silence stretched across months or years, even when they seemed far, disconnected, or unaware, there was something anchoring them to you in the unseen. A thread the world could not cut. A light that darkness tried to dim, but could not destroy. You may have believed they chose to walk away, that they forgot, that they stopped caring. But what you could not see was what they were enduring behind that silence. The moment their soul drew too close to yours, something in the spirit realm pushed back. Not because your love was weak, but because it was powerful. So powerful that it shook the very foundations of fear. The closer they came, the more intensely the unseen forces opposing healing and truth tried to intervene. This was never just emotional distance, it was spiritual resistance, and they were not equipped to fight it then. But something has changed. They are finding their way back. Slowly, carefully, with trembling steps, but their soul is beginning to rise. And this time, they are not looking for rescue. They are searching for reassurance, for safety, for the faintest sign that the door is still open. In their quietest moments when no one is watching, they are watching you. Through spiritual impressions they don't yet understand, through glimpses and signs that keep drawing their thoughts back to you. And while they may appear composed on the outside, inside they are aching with the hope that this love might not be lost after all. What you are feeling in this moment is not coincidence. The flutter in your chest, the warmth behind your eyes, the sudden rush of memories, it's all part of this divine activation. You are not just receiving words, you are being awakened. There are places in your heart that have remained sealed, not out of stubbornness, but for survival. But heaven is whispering, enough now. You do not have to remain in that guarded posture forever. You are not being asked to forget the pain. You are being invited to let it teach you, not lead you. Your soulmate stands at a breaking point. A pivotal moment approaches, one that may arrive unexpectedly, through a dream, a message, or a sudden reappearance. When it comes, you may feel the urge to recoil, to protect what was once shattered. But that pain you experienced wasn't meant to make you numb, it was meant to make you wise. And now, the wise version of you must choose. Will you greet what returns with fear, or with the strength of someone who has learned how to remain soft without being shattered? Because it is true there was deception, not by your own hand, and not from theirs. There was a voice, close to them, speaking lies subtle, poisonous, persuasive. A voice that saw your light and feared it. A voice that made them question what was real, not because they didn't care, but because confusion clouded their view. And for a time, it worked. But that time is ending. Heaven has pulled back the veil. The truth is returning to them like a dawn they cannot outrun. You need to hear this. You were never the problem. You were never too much. You were never unlovable. You were simply misunderstood by a world that hasn't yet learned how to receive a soul as bright as yours. And your soulmate? They were not rejecting you, they were trying to protect a connection they didn't know how to hold yet. But now their hands are opening, and your heart must not close. This isn't just about a reunion, this is about destiny. Love, in its purest form, has never been about perfection, it's about recognition. As 1 Samuel 16:7 reminds us, people look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. And when heaven looks at your hearts, it sees two souls who recognized each other before time named them. That's why no one ever truly replaced them, not because you didn't try, but because a connection woven by heaven cannot be replicated by earthly hands. Now, you stand in a moment that feels impossibly delicate. A whisper has reached your soul, and something in you knows it is not fantasy. It's not just memory. It's something deeper, something that lives in the marrow of your spirit. And as you feel that inner trembling, know this: it is not fear, it is recognition. You may feel tempted to dismiss this, to call it coincidence, to return to logic. But remember, the voice that tells you, "This means nothing," is the same voice that once whispered to your soulmate, "You don't deserve love like this." It is not the voice of God. It is the voice of fear. And it has no place in what heaven is building now. There is a war being fought not of swords and shouting, but of silence and surrender. And the truth is, you are already winning, simply by staying open. Every moment you remain present with this truth, another chain falls. Every time you allow your heart to soften rather than retreat, something hidden begins to heal. Heaven is not passive in this moment. The angels are not watching idly. They are moving, reordering, rearranging lives, timing, conversations, circumstances. Not to manipulate, but to make space. But none of that can hold if your spirit closes now. Divine alignment cannot override unwillingness. The door can only stay open if you allow it. Your soulmate is closer to clarity than ever before, but they're waiting, watching, not for perfection, but for peace, for the quiet sign that says, this love is still safe. And right now, you are holding the key. This isn't about knowing exactly what will happen. It's about recognizing what's already begun. What you're feeling, this collision of memory and spirit and hope, is not your imagination. It is a visitation. You are not just being comforted, you are being entrusted with a love that can heal more than just two hearts, with a connection that reaches through generations. So, let yourself feel. Let your defenses lower, just for now, and let heaven do what it does best, bring light into places you thought would remain dark forever. Because what's happening now isn't just a message, it's a miracle in motion. What's happening now, what you're being invited into, is not a command to act, but a call to understand. There has never been an absence of love in this story. That ache, that separation, that quiet space between you, it wasn't a punishment, it was protection. A divine shield placed between two souls that still needed healing before they could stand beside each other without breaking. God, in His mercy, sometimes hides what is sacred so it won't be harmed too early. Not to withhold, but to prepare. Just as Moses was hidden in a basket among the reeds for a season not lost, but preserved, so too have you been covered, protected in the silence. And yes, so has the one you carry in your heart. The pause has never meant rejection. It has been, all along, a holy pause. But if the pause is sacred, then your role within it is sacred too. You are not being asked to freeze, you are being asked to engage life differently. This kind of waiting isn't passive, it's not emotional paralysis or spiritual apathy. True waiting is an active, steadying response to what heaven is doing behind the scenes. Psalm 37:7 says, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him." But that stillness is not the absence of movement, it is the presence of peace in the middle of uncertainty. Waiting well means choosing how you show up in the in-between, not as someone half alive, clinging to what-ifs, but as someone awake, whole, and present to the moment God has given you. This begins, first, in the way you handle your thoughts. When something touches us deeply, our minds hunger for clarity. We scan for signs, replay conversations, analyze silences. But clarity is not earned by overthinking, it's received through trust. When your thoughts start to spiral, return gently to the present. Wash a dish, tend to your breath, speak kindly to yourself. These small, grounded acts restore you to the only place peace ever lives, here and now. Then, consider how you love in this season. Being emotionally available does not mean chasing. There's a difference between openness and anxiety. You can remain soft without being unguarded. You can feel deeply without proving anything. Strength here is not loud. It's not in declarations or demonstrations. It's in quiet consistency, in being someone who shows up to their own life with dignity and care. Your growth is also being measured in how you handle uncertainty. Do you default to fear? Do you abandon yourself emotionally the moment the outcome isn't clear? Or are you learning, slowly and steadily, to make peace with not knowing? Ecclesiastes 11:5 reminds us, "As you do not know the path of the wind, or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the work of God." And still, the work continues. Even when you don't see it, healing is unfolding, timing is aligning. The stories you tell yourself in this space matter. When the waiting stretches long, your mind will try to fill the silence. Be careful what you let it write. Speak gently to yourself when old thoughts arise, those voices of self-blame or comparison or imagined outcomes that never bring peace. Don't argue with them. Just return to what is true. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are not forgotten. You are being formed. And yes, it is time to let your identity stretch beyond this connection. That's not disconnection, it's maturity. Water the soil of your life, your health, your talents, your purpose. Let your joy exist for its own sake. When your life feels full on its own, love becomes something you choose freely, not something you grasp for. That is when union becomes a blessing, not a bandage. This maturity also shows up in how you communicate. Not every feeling needs to be spoken the moment it's felt. Not every question needs to be answered right away. Wisdom will teach you when to speak with grace and when to rest in silence without resentment. Emotions can be honored in private, in prayer, in pages of a journal, or in trusted spaces, not always in confrontation or urgency. This is how emotional overflow becomes spiritual insight. And perhaps the most important truth of this season, alignment cannot be forced. What is meant for you is not hiding, it is being shaped to fit the healed version of you, and it will not collapse under patience. What is real does not vanish just because time has passed. So, if reunion comes, and it may, these practices will prepare you to meet it with grace. And if time stretches further, they will protect your peace. Either way, the cycle has shifted. You are not in the same place. You are not reacting from fear. You are responding from wisdom. And that is the clearest sign that the pause has served its purpose. You are no longer waiting for something to fix you. You are waiting in wholeness. You are living while waiting. You are becoming the version of yourself who no longer needs the outcome to feel anchored because the anchor is already within you. The pause was never about punishment. It was about becoming someone who can carry the promise when it arrives. And now, quietly, steadily, you are. And so, here, You are standing at the edge of something sacred, not because time has passed, but because something inside you has shifted. The waiting has shaped you, the silence has stretched you. And now, the space between you and the one your soul remembers is no longer filled with confusion, but with readiness. Had you reconnected too soon, the old wounds would have spoken louder than love. Both of you would have fallen back into survival patterns, emotional reactions built from fear, not faith. The connection would have been consumed by its own intensity rather than anchored in understanding. And so, heaven withheld not to punish, but to preserve. But now, the healing is nearly complete. You may not have felt it happen all at once, but like water softening stone, healing came in small sacred waves, through tears, through prayers, through nights when you thought you had lost everything, but somehow found the strength to keep going. And because of that steady, silent transformation, heaven is preparing to reopen the path, not to the past, but to something entirely new. Not to the person they once were, but to the person they are becoming. You are not being asked to receive who hurt you. You are being asked to recognize who they are now and who you are now. This is not a return to what was. This is the beginning of what can only exist now that you both have changed. But there is something important you must understand. Timing in the spiritual realm is not bound to human urgency, but it is sacred. There are windows, holy intervals where the veil between heaven and earth grows thin. When divine intervention becomes unusually active and alignment begins to stir things in motion faster than usual, you are inside one of those moments right now. Isaiah 55:6 says, "Seek the Lord while he may be found, call on him while he is near." Not because God disappears, but because divine moments are delicate. When heaven moves, we are invited to move too, not out of fear, but out of reverence for the timing of things that cannot be manufactured by human effort. The closeness you felt, the warmth, the signs, the unexplainable nearness is real, and it is no accident. The Creator is near, closer than breath, not because you earned it, but because it is time. And this message, it is not something to casually scroll past. It is not poetic coincidence. It is not an emotional flare. It is spiritual confirmation. An echo from eternity reminding you that your heart has not been misled, that all this was for something, and now the door has opened. But doors, even divine ones, do not stay open forever. If you resist this moment, if you allow fear to wrap its arms around your heart again, the energy will slowly begin to fade, not in anger, not in punishment, but in silence, like a curtain drawn at the close of a performance. And you'll wonder, weeks or months from now, where the signs went, why the dream stopped, why everything felt so vivid, and then disappeared. The truth will be hard to carry, but it must be said. If that happens, it won't be because the love wasn't real. It will be because the love wasn't received. This is not about chasing after a fantasy. It's not even about romance in the way the world defines it. This is about a divine mission, one that requires both of you to rise into who you were created to be. They hold keys to doors you cannot open alone. And you carry answers they have been praying for without knowing how to articulate them. This is why the connection has endured. Why, no matter how far you've tried to run from it, something always draws you back. Not out of obsession, but out of alignment. Why you wake in the middle of the night with their presence so heavy in the room, it feels as if your soul is being whispered to. This isn't imagination. This is calling. And calling doesn't fade until it is fulfilled. There's a reason Paul wrote in Ephesians 2:10, "For we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do." This is one of those good works. This connection is not random. It is purposeful. You are not just stepping into a love story. You are stepping into a life assignment. And when you allow your heart to say yes, not recklessly, but reverently, something shifts. Miracles move. The resources you've lacked begin to find you. People arrive who are meant to walk with you. Doors that were once locked begin to swing open. Because heaven funds what heaven calls. And alignment brings provision not just for comfort, but for mission. You are not being asked to figure out how it will unfold. You are being asked to receive what is already beginning, to stop measuring your readiness against the past, to stop disqualifying yourself with old pain, to realize that this version of you, the one who has walked through fire and chosen softness anyway, is the one who can carry this blessing with grace. So the question is no longer, is this real? The question is, will you allow it to become real now? Because the stage is set, the veil is thin, the invitation is clear, and heaven is watching, not to judge, but to align. Let your heart recognize the moment when it arrives. Let it unfold in peace. Let it become what it was always meant to be. And now, as we continue through this quiet unfolding, this sacred recognition of timing, purpose, and healing, it's important to understand something that many overlook. Not every connection, even the most powerful ones, is meant to rescue you from loneliness. And not every bond that shakes your soul is promised to last forever in the form you first imagined. Some are sent for something far more profound. They come to keep you from abandoning yourself. When viewed through this lens, the story changes. The focus shifts from outcome to insight, from reunion or separation to awakening and alignment. These connections become more than emotional, they become mirrors. They reflect not just the beauty in another, but the parts of yourself you've neglected, the truths you've been afraid to speak, the boundaries you never thought you could hold. And in this reflection, something holy begins. There's a quiet danger in measuring love only by longevity. Many believe that if something was real, it must endure invisible, lasting form. But in truth, love reveals itself in many ways. Sometimes by staying, sometimes by leaving, and sometimes by showing you through joy or rupture what must change inside of you for your soul to breathe again. In the Gospels, we find Jesus encountering people in the middle of their transitions, like the Samaritan woman at the well, John 4. Her story wasn't just about the relationships she had. It was about the identity she had lost and the clarity that came when she was finally seen, not judged, but understood. That encounter changed her, not by solving her past, but by awakening her present. And that is often the hidden role of soul-shifting connections. They challenge your default patterns. They disrupt the emotional autopilot you didn't know you were on. They stir you awake in seasons when you might have stayed asleep. That discomfort? It's not a sign something has gone wrong. It's a sign something deep is trying to heal. When these connections are viewed only through the lens of, will this last? Something vital is missed. The deeper question, the question that reshapes everything, is, who am I becoming through this experience? If your honesty has grown, if your boundaries have matured, if your understanding of love has expanded beyond fantasy into something rooted, then this connection has already done its sacred work, no matter the ending. Purposeful connections often enter during seasons of inner reconstruction, times when your identity is shifting beneath the surface. They show up not to fill your gaps, but to help you see them clearly. And with that clarity comes a new kind of self-respect. You begin to ask questions that were once too painful to face. What parts of myself have I ignored? What fears am I still holding? What version of love have I settled for in the past? These are not questions designed to torment you. They are designed to liberate you. They lead to decisions no longer made out of panic or proving, but out of peace. And when you live from that kind of grounded awareness, the fear around timing softens. You stop obsessing over signs, You stop trying to force meaning into every moment of silence. You begin to trust that what is real does not need to be chased, and what is aligned will never arrive through anxiety. This is the quiet return to agency. You stop seeing yourself as someone waiting to be chosen. You remember you are a participant, not a bystander. Your worth is not determined by another's confusion, avoidance, or delay. It is revealed in how consistently you remain true to what you've learned, in how gently you return to yourself when the world gets loud again. Galatians 5:1 says, "It is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm, then, and do not let yourselves be burdened again by a yoke of slavery." That includes emotional slavery to stories that keep you small, to cycles that make you shrink. Any connection tied to your purpose will not demand that you betray your intuition or abandon your emotional safety. It will not pull you backward. It will meet you where you are and honor the growth you fought to gain. And if that connection does not return, if it shifts into a new shape or dissolves in form, that, too, can be holy. Because not everything that feels unfinished is broken. Some stories remain open-ended because closure is not the goal. Awakening is. When you understand this, love expands. You begin to love with clarity, not control. You hold space without clinging. You find peace in the process, not just the result. And no matter what unfolds, reunion, redefinition, or release, you are not left empty. You are left wiser, softer, stronger. This is how you walk forward without abandoning yourself. And that, more than anything, is the kind of transformation that lasts longer than any outcome. It becomes the quiet testimony that something sacred passed through your life and left you more whole than it found you. When all is said and stirred within your spirit, know this: you were never simply waiting for love. You were being prepared for alignment. The ache, the questions, the sacred pauses, they were not delays, but divine invitations to become the version of yourself who could carry something eternal with gentleness, wisdom, and depth. What has unfolded across this journey is not the blueprint of a single outcome, but the unveiling of your inner foundation, resilient, awakened, and deeply anchored in truth. The soul you've long remembered is not the ending of your story, but a mirror that helped reveal your own reflection through heaven's eyes. And whether that connection returns in full form or simply lives as a sacred thread in your soul's tapestry, it has done what it was always meant to do. It has led you home to yourself. That is where destiny begins. That is where the sacred continues. If this message has met you in a moment of clarity, peace, or gentle trembling, you are not alone. You are seen. You are known. And heaven still has more to unfold through your yes. Before we close, I invite you to pause with me in a moment of stillness to anchor everything that has stirred in your heart today. Let us enter a space of prayer, not rushed or rehearsed, but sincere. A conversation between your soul and the one who has been gently leading you all along. Father God, thank you for orchestrating every moment that led this soul here today. Thank you for the gentle way you speak, not through thunder or fear, but through quiet stirrings, divine timing, and whispered confirmations that pierce deeper than words. Lord, you see the places in us that still ache, that still hope, that still wonder if restoration is possible. You know the stories we carry unfinished, tender, sacred, and yet you do not leave us in the ache. You meet us there with purpose. Today, we surrender every unanswered question, every delay we couldn't explain, every tear cried in the silence. We lay them at your feet, trusting that you waste nothing. Your word says in Romans 8:28 that you work all things together for the good of those who love you and are called according to your purpose. So we rest in that promise, even when we don't understand the process. Lord, for the one watching this, I pray for clarity in the middle of their confusion, peace in the middle of their pause, and courage in the face of fear. Remind them that the connection they carry in their spirit is not a burden, but a bridge, a holy thread tied to something greater than human understanding. Remind them that even when it felt like things were falling apart, you were quietly setting things in order. You are the God who sees the end from the beginning, who writes redemption into every chapter. Heal the places in them that still believe they are too much, too late, or too broken to be loved well. Silence the voice of fear that tells them to shut down, walk away, or give up. Instead, awaken the voice of truth, the one that says, you are still chosen, you are still called, and you are not alone. We ask for divine alignment, not just with people, but with purpose. If reconciliation is your will, let it be built not on fantasy, but on foundation, on wholeness, on mutual healing, on love that reflects your character. But even if the shape changes, may their peace remain. May they walk forward without abandoning themselves. And Lord, we thank you for the mystery, for the beauty of not knowing everything and still choosing to trust. Thank you for every sacred connection you send, not just to fulfill us, but to form us. May we hold them with open hands and open hearts. Teach us to love as you love, with truth, with patience, with grace. We seal this moment in the name of Jesus, the one who restores what was lost, redeems what was broken, and reawakens what the world tried to silence. Amen. Thank you for staying until the end of this sacred space. If this message has echoed something deep within you, let your spirit respond in the comments with, I receive this in faith and alignment. It's not just words, it's your agreement with heaven. And if this prayer has blessed you, consider subscribing for more moments like this. There is more unfolding, and we would be honored to walk alongside you. Until next time, stay rooted in grace and stay open to the quiet work of God.